Welcome everyone. So the next talk is my journey with homelabing with freenas, proxmox, pfSense, and second-hand hardware by Saswata Sarkar. Saswat is a GNU Linux network system engineer at Unmukti, working with network, free software, and liberated hardware. Saswat, stage is all yours.
Thank you. Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Saswata Sarkar, as he introduced me. This is my journey with homelabing with FreeNAS, proxmox, and pfSense, and second-hand hardware, basically. These are my opinions and basically my experiences with the things that I will talk about it. So my experience with first open source is that I have used custom ROMs for my phones because they manufacturer are planned to obsolescence the device. So I basically this is my secondary device. I run Lineage OS on it, and the screen you are seeing the screenshot that is Calyx OS for my primary phone. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sure. So the main story is I had a C2 Archer C2 back then, and DDWRT was popular. By the way, DDWRT is not free software. DDWRT was popular back then. I wanted to use it, but whenever I searched on the internet, I used to get this. Basically, the two forum links you are seeing, these are basically asking for DWRT guys to port the firmware to the C2, but they wanted voluntary device to port the thing, but it did not work basically. But I did see two links that from OpenWrt. But whenever I opened the link, this was ugly. This was ugly. There was no image, and basically I did not wanted to flash it, and there was no Lucy back then. Basically, the user interface, the web UI for uh, OpenWrt, and I used the TP-Link firmware 1.5 years, and then I think that let's reinstall it, and there was Lucy then. So I figured out, and I was happy about it that uh, uh, the OpenWrt was running fine, but I saw in YouTube and other places that pfSense got popular, and so I wanted to install it on my system, but I had to basically go to OLX or Craigslist, basically India's Craigslist, or then there was no Facebook Marketplace. So I got a pre-built assembled system from a guy with these kind of specs: Intel Pentium 20 G2020, 2 GB of RAM, one 8 GB pen drive, which I bought from somewhere, and one 450-watt PSU, 80 plus. Back then there was no 80 plus white, so basically basic 80 plus. So then I used that thing because it will run for 24/7. So I did not wanted to use a cheap power supply and decent case. And pfSense had a lot of GUI element. Basically, you can run the whole OS from GUI only. You don't need to use the terminal because terminal is scary, right? So then the main problem was with pfSense. My ISP had a schedule of if I connected X in X time, it will stay for 24 hours and then it will disconnect. And pfSense did not connect with the main PPP OE. Then I had to write a script, and basically whenever there is no internet, it will reboot. And this takes a lot of resources compared to OpenWrt and does not have features like UCI, which OpenWrt has. So still I switched to OpenWrt then, and Now there is new problem. I don't call myself a data hoarder, but I do not want to delete stuff from my systems. So basically, I wanted a storage server. So there was two options back then. One was OpenWrt, and another was, I guess, freenas. So in all the benchmarks, people used to say that FreeNAS performs better, it is more stable. So I thought I'll use that, and I wanted some cheap hardware which does not have very high power consumptions, and got a figure out that Intel 6th gen and lower does have a very high power consumption compared to the performance. So I wanted 6th gen CPU, a lot of SATA ports in the motherboard. I wanted a 6 plus SATA port, but it was too expensive for me to get a 6 plus, but I got a 6 SATA port motherboard, and then a good reliable power supply, a case that can hold at least 6 hard drives, and I again got to OLX and got a great deal on CPU and motherboard combo. And but the problem was I did not see at that time, but the motherboard had bent pins. So, but I had a great luck with Gigabyte guys. They fixed it for me for free basically. And then I got second-hand DDR4 RAMs and repurposed my old gaming PC power supply, which was from a reliable brand. And then I got a second-hand case from a, again, reputed brand, because it is sturdy enough to hold all of those hard drives and all of those things. And then I got one hard drive from OLX, one from my PC, and one I repurposed somewhere. So then I got 3 hard drives for a RAID Z1 pool, and that is how I started. And probably later I added 3 more 2 TB hard drives, and added another Z-wall for a RAID Z1 pool. Now, because I have a storage server now, so I wanted to have something which can run my services like Nextcloud, Plex. There was no Jellyfin back then, and I installed Nextcloud, but I did not able to figure out the file sharing and the networking on jails very well with the TrueNAS UI. So I thought let's not do it. And then I thought I want to have a hypervisor. Then I had 2 options. One was XCPNG and another one was proxmox. XCPNG had a I don't know it is weird or not, but they basically need a orchestrator for another VM or container to basically run their orchestrator or the GUI part. So I did not wanted to mess with that, so I chose proxmox. And these are also same specs, I mean, from OLX only. FX80 AMD FX8120, a good motherboard, 32 GB DDR3 RAM, beefy enough power supply because it is a power hungry system, and one 128 gig SSD for boot drive, and one 480 GB SSD for storage, and R7 240 for GPU pass-through, or maybe IMMU group testing and that kind of stuff. But I realized that it was too power hungry at idle. It was consuming around 100 watts. So I was not able to run it for 24/7. So then this PC comes into the picture. Basically, I repurposed a family PC and added some RAM, added a new, again, second-hand case and a power supply, and added proxmox to it, basically with 160 GB SSD and 250 GB SSD for data. Now it is running. I stopped distro hopping because I then create a VM and then figure out there how a distro works. And some Windows VM, specifically one, I remember that my printer does not have a good driver for Linux. So if I have to print, let's say, a very high quality print, then I need a Windows system to basically print on 1200 DPI. So I had a VM for that, and I started using Nextcloud and other services like Jellyfin. And now I got 2 nodes because I repurposed the second PC, and basically I do not want to get too technical about quorums and all, but basically I use the low power one as a primary, and then the high power one as a secondary. Whenever I need some more power, more virtual machines, I will power it on and figure out things. And I had a GPU VM on that as well, and OpenWrt VMs for learning the networking and how OpenWrt basically works, and lots more. Yeah, very important. Power supply, UPSs, because whenever you are dealing with hard drives, they do not generally try like to be powered on and powered off frequently. So they like to be either on or off. So UPS is very necessary for a storage server. This is now my home lab, how it looks. And thank you for, thank you for Hopbox and Unmukti for sending me here. Thank you. And questions?
Do we have any questions? Okay. I'm checking IRC also, if there's a question there. Yes, we are good. So thanks, Ashwat, and
Thank
that's
you
it for the talk.